One of the things that we can do with Blender is take a logo, in this case a vector-based logo, and import it in and create a 3D logo out of it. So I'm going to show how to do that. Here's the file I have in Illustrator. This is the PSU graphic design logo. You can see it's just a vector logo. The first thing I need to do is save it as an SVG file. So you can do that. You can either save it as or export. Let's see what happens here. So I'm going to save it as SVG. Should be able to use the defaults. And now it's saved as an SVG, and I'm going to go open that up in Blender. Now SVG is a file format that you can easily save if you have like an Illustrator or like PDF or even an EPS file. We're going to go into Blender right here. This is a new Blender file. I'm going to import it in. You might run into this issue. You do want to check that you have, there's an add-on. If you look up SVG, you want to make sure that this is checked. If you don't have that checked, you won't be able to import it in. But if you have that, then you should go to import SVG, Scalable Vector Graphics. And you can see it came in here. I'm going to turn off or delete the cube. I'm going to hit X to delete it. All right, so this is the curve, the SVG, the vectors, and you can see it's brought in as separate curves because this is kind of a complex logo. There's different curves associated with each of these pieces. One thing to note is it might be hard to see this. You can see sometimes the scale is a little bit off, but you could scale this if you grab this, hit S, or you can rescale things this way. But actually the first thing I want to do is combine these all so that they are one curve and I can make that 3D. So I'm going to select all of these, and under Object, you can go to Join or Command J, and that's going to create one curve here. And so now when I start to do some transformations, like I hit S to scale it, it's all going to work on that one shape or that one logo. One thing to keep in mind, and there's this point here where all the transformations are happening around, and especially if you start like trying to rotate this, you'll see everything rotates around that point. And for me, I usually like to put that anchor point or that transformation point in the center of this, or have them be aligned. So you can go up to Object and set Origin. If you set Geometry to Origin, it's going to put the curve to the origin here, and then that way when you scale things up, it's a little bit easier and you rotate things. I find that that's handy. So we can scale this up to whatever we need to be. We could either put it in here or use the scale tool. Okay, so I think there's two ways to go about making this 3D. One thing we can do is we can go under here, under the curve. There's something called geometry, and we can actually extrude it from here. Whoops. So we could do that. And we can add a little bit of bevel this way. It's probably too much. I think this has to do with the scale of this. Or maybe 0.01. If we want to put just a tiny edge or bevel on that. And then if you wanted to go and change the material, you can see that it came in as a black, but you can always go in and change it this way. So that's one thing you could do, and then you could rotate this right as you needed to. Yeah. So this is just one way of doing it. And I'm going to show another way that you could make this 3D. So I'm going to save this out. I'm going to call this SVG, maybe geometry, because that's what I used. Okay. And I'm going to just make a new file and kind of do this all over again. The process is the same in the beginning. Bring in and import SVG. Again, let's grab all these. I guess we can go up to here. grab all these and join them. I'm also going to go into here, reset the origin. Now I could also set the origin to geometry, in which case that origin gets put in the center of the geometry here. So that's another thing I could do. The next thing we want to do is take this, it's a curve, and we want to create a mesh out of it. And then, it'll exist as a 3D mesh, and then we can play with it that way. So what you can do is go to Object, convert to Mesh. And if we go into edit mode by hitting tab, you can see, it's become a mesh with, you can see all the vertices. This might be a lot of different, maybe there's too many points, and the faces are a little bit kind of complex, but I don't want to get too far into that. But we can go ahead and start extruding this. So edit mode, select all the pieces right here, and then extrude. Whoops. I want to actually make sure I'm on faces here. And right click, hit extrude, and I could bring it up this way. You can hit A to select everything, select all, right? So this is in edit mode. When you're working with geometry or the faces, points, vertices, edges, you'll want to be in edit mode. I'm going to hit tab again to get into object mode, and then if I wanted to change the color, again, I could do that through here. Okay, so I am also going to just rotate this around. I can set it to 90 degrees. And yeah, I can go, I'm going to show how to export it as something I can use in Adobe Aero, or something I could bring into After Effects if I wanted to use 3D. So I'm going to go to export, and two formats that I want to highlight are FBX and GLTF, or GLB, GLTF. So I'm going to do this one. I'm just going to export this. And from there, I'm going to take this and show you how to work with it in Adobe Aero. This would also work in Adobe After Effects, and I'll also show how to do that as well. So the difference between the two versions that I just did is that one, you can see is going to have the geometry here. One of these is going to have the mesh, this kind of 3D mesh associated with it. Let me save this out, and I'll just call this mesh. And when I go into, just to show this, when I go into edit mode, I don't actually have a mesh here. So if we were trying to play with the mesh, that might be an issue, but I think this is actually a quick and easy way to get it done. One thing I want to just show before, and I can do this to both of these files, but obviously there's a lot to go into regarding the materials. There's this node-based system that you could use, but I just want to focus on these bits and pieces. One thing we can do is start to add a metallic quality, so that's going to be kind of like a shininess. If I put that up to 1, and I want to also make sure that I'm on this kind of like shading view, or this one has the lights in it, so you can kind of see as I kind of toggle between these, how it's more metallic, and when we put down the roughness, it's going to be more reflective, and as we kind of go up in roughness, it's going to be a little bit less reflective. So if I wanted something kind of shiny, I could do something like this. And you can actually preview kind of what this looks like by just opening this up. There's different shapes that you can kind of see what that looks like. So you can see it has this kind of metallic quality. As we pull that up, you'll see it changes. And you can see the effect of the roughness. Change this. Whoops. I'm just going to kind of move it into the light a little bit more. So you can start to see that metallic kind of shininess that's happening. And I think those are just some basic material qualities that we can address right now. Again, it's materials and shading is a very complex topic, but at least having control over the color and so shininess and roughness, I think is a good starting point. And I want to take this and export it as a gltf or glb. I'm going to call this PSU GD Blue and export that out.